Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Alexandria Warren, and today we are diving into a brand that's turning the indoor golf experience on its head, not just for golfers, but for anybody who's looking for a good time, a great vibe, and maybe a little bit of friendly competition along the way. I'm talking about Another Nine, a tech-forward, community-driven franchise. Today I have with me Jewell and Ethan Grob. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Thank you for having us. Brett, why don't you start?
Yeah. Thanks for the opportunity and looking forward to digging in with you. I am Brett Jewell. I'm co-founder and COO of Another Nine. We got into this almost by accident. We wanted to start a little family business in Cincinnati, Ohio, and kind of work it alongside of our day jobs. And we quickly realized we created a wonderful opportunity for franchisees that want to supplement their income, that want to be entrepreneurs, that want to change the trajectory of their families. And we've kind of wrapped it up in this nice bow and created a lot of technology to help franchisees operate this so that they're not having to do all of the hard work and create the playbook themselves. We've done that for them.
Brett, why golf? I mean, there are so many things you could do with this. Like Another Nine, first of all, to share with all the viewers here who are dying to know. You've probably seen all my posts. You've seen how excited Brand One is about Another Nine. Share a little bit with us. Who is Another Nine and why golf? Right? You just described the ideal franchise system. Why in the golf space?
Why not golf?
Right, exactly. It's we talk about this all the time. I think we're even more attracted to the business side of this model. The fact that it's centered around golf is certainly a nice bonus. It originally started because that's a problem that we had. We both have young children and not a lot of time to play golf. And so if there was a place that fit more into our schedules and into our lives, we'd play a lot more frequently. And it turns out there are millions of people just like us across the country that have the exact same problem and, limited options to play. And so it was kind of a perfect blend of a great business and a really interesting subject matter.
I love that. I guess it's serendipitous that Another Nine came into the picture around the exact same time that I learned how to play golf. My husband and I had this thing going that he wanted a simulator, and my big thought was, I'll show you. I was like, oh, it's really selfish. We're going to spend all this money on something that's just a hobby for you. And he said, would you at least try? Like, before you have this big opinion, could you just swing a club and see if you like it? And joke's on me. Turns out I loved it. I am much more bullish about playing now. It's like what I enjoy doing to wind down. So I was so excited when Another Nine came into the picture. I now more than ever recognize the opportunity inside the industry. Like that, it's insane. Honestly, I guess as somebody who never played golf, I didn't realize what changed in the industry, particularly from the COVID era. But now looking at this, I can't believe it's taken this long for people to really start catching on. Can you share with some of our listeners what happened in the golf world, really starting from the COVID timeframe?
I think there's a confluence of a few different things that the timing of all of them working out really well together. Part of it was COVID and people searching for something else to do, to get outside, they could still socially distance from others and be in nature and do something physical and fun and different. That was certainly part of it. But also this wouldn't have been an option 10 or 15 years ago, just with technology that simulators are now. They're so much more accurate and affordable and available commercially than they were even probably 5 years ago. And then there's kind of the silent thing that's been bubbling in the United States over a long period of time is that there are fewer golf courses than there were 20 years ago. Every year there's been a retraction of golf courses. So we've gotten to this place where more people are playing golf now than ever. There are fewer golf courses every year than there were in the previous year. And the technology is just ripe for this sort of thing. And then you add onto that, on the technology layer, the Internet of Things, the remote access, the automations, powerful tools, AI, all of this is coming together at just the right time for us.
I mean, social's been huge too. Like, again, because my phone listens to me and you can't convince me otherwise. I swear I started talking to you guys and diving into the brand and playing myself. And now everything on social media is all of these influencers that aren't even pros, right? That are talking about everything from the swing to interacting with their communities. And I mean, the social aspect of golf, I didn't realize how big that really was. I suddenly care like who won the tournament, right? We could talk about Scotty Scheffler if you want to, but we don't have to. I mean, it's really awesome to see this, what I think used to feel like an old man's game has really started to blossom into like no age limit, if that makes sense. Like it's really a game for the masses again, and it's more accessible, which ties right into another nine. I mean, you guys were built on accessibility, am I right?
That's right. And you're hitting on the key point, I think, that is one of the core tenets of this brand, which is golf historically is notoriously difficult, exclusive, inconvenient, expensive. There are so many barriers to entry, and yet year after year, more and more people are playing the game for the very first time. There's 48 or 49 million golf participants in the US now. And so much of that has to do with all the systemic things we just talked about and this wave of new media surrounding the game that's generating a lot of new interest, particularly in social. But it no longer has to be, for lack of a better word, an old white man's club, right? It's not the traditional country club. It's not just for the affluent. It's for anybody who's interested in golf. That's one of the core components of what we're trying to bring. It's 24/7 access, not just for members, not just for the elite. It's for anybody who's interested in golf, whether you're a scratch or you're picking up a club for the first time.
Yeah, I love that. And, you know, as a female playing, one of the things that I found most attractive is number one, I don't want everybody staring at me while I'm learning how to swing a club. Like it's awkward enough for me as it is. Right. I love that your suites have an added element of privacy. It feels like something that I could do at a date night. It feels like something I could take a client to. I can remember when I started chatting with you, I was like, but I've seen this model. I know how expensive it is. You've got a bar inside it. You're serving food. This is essentially a restaurant on steroids. I'm not interested in your build out. And you were like, wait. No, that's not it. Hold on. And I think that was one of the things I love so much about it is that not only is this accessible for everybody, but you've created an environment where you could go to another nine in a ton of different situations in your life. I love the way that you guys designed your experience, which was different in so many ways. Can you kind of talk to me about some of the decision making that you guys put into the design and why you picked the elements you did, such as private suites?
Yeah, we were really intentional and deliberate early on, before we even had our first lease, in deciding what we wanted this to be, who it's for, how we reach those people, what do those people value. For myself, as someone who's not good at golf, who's relatively new to the game, I hate the feeling of being on the first tee and like the clubhouse is watching you. And I just rolled up 5 minutes ago, so I didn't warm up. I didn't hit a bucket of balls or anything. And you hit that first shot into the woods, and you're like, I can't believe like I've got like 4.5 more hours of this. Like, what did I just sign up for? So when we were doing research, like all these places they're just like open bays, and we went to some and tried them out. And we're like, if this was in my basement and I could just play by myself, like that would be ideal. And so we kind of went on from there, like, okay, well, that person that feels that way, are they going to sign up for a $200, $300 a month membership just to try it out? Like, probably not. Okay, well, this should be open to the public, right? We should allow guests to come here. And then the little touches inside, having, a smart lock on the door so that no one else is going to walk into your suite while you're playing. Having even little things like a mini fridge or a TV with red zone on it. So when you're playing on Sunday, you can watch all the football that you want. There's just so many little things that we thought we can use that to elevate the experience, to draw that person in, and to want them to come back. Because we wanted to create a space that's not just for a single occasion, or not just, once a year I go there and have fun, but it doesn't financially make sense to come here often. We wanted something that becomes part of someone's golf routine, that becomes part of their habit, that they're here once a week, twice a week, maybe even 5 times a week. We have people that come 5 times a week to play golf and to practice and play on their own terms.
I think I agree with all of everything you just said, Brett. The one thing that I think we challenge ourselves to not forget is one of the core tenets of the our business that we often overlook because it's so core to who we are is the 24/7 aspect. We don't close. So Christmas morning, we're open. 3 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday, we're open. Whenever it fits your schedule, you can come play in a private sim suite that's going to be elevated versus, any other experience you can have. And so I think that is another kind of a game changer for the schedule, right? I've put my kids to bed. I finally get a chance to settle down. It's 8:30 or 9 o'clock at night. Everything is going to be closed. Not us, right? I can fit in golf when it suits me.
I remember when we first talked about that element of the brand, and something that I found so appealing regarding that is how many people. I mean, again, I'm a business owner, right? My husband and I own a service-based brand, so we're always looking at angles to connect with referral partners and referral relationships. When you mentioned the 24/7 thing, the first thing I thought of is, what about third shift workers, right? What about some of these places where there's likely this whole group of people that don't have access to golf in the environment that they would like to golf in, which again is something that Another Nine just tackled beautifully with the way the suites are designed. And like you said, the TV, bring your own beverage option, all that jazz. I found it so interesting that the 24/7 aspect, not only was it great for consumers, but it's great from a business owner's perspective, that if done appropriately with the right type of marketing, you just attracted this whole other angle that those souped up restaurants I was talking about, there's nothing that they can't even touch that. Like they're never going to get that business. They're not going to get that person walking in on a Sunday, much less, on a continuous basis. So I absolutely love that aspect of your model. I think that was so well thought out.
We see such a wide breadth of guests that come. We have those third shift workers. We have busy executives whose only free time is at 4:30 in the morning. We have teenagers. We have college kids. There's value for everyone at all times of day and for all sorts of occasions. I think because of the way that we've set up the suites, because of the way that it's 24/7, we're allowing access for people who previously might not have felt like they had access to golf, or maybe not felt invited to play golf and participate in the sport.
Yeah.
And from a business owner standpoint, I've always found it really interesting in a brick and mortar space that you're paying for rent 24 hours a day, but you're only generating revenue 50, 60, maybe 70% of that time. Otherwise, it's just dead time. And we don't have that. We have the luxury of not having any dead time during the day for us.
Well, speaking of luxury of things inside your business, Brett, Ethan, do either of you remember the part that made me spin my head around?
There were so many, it's hard to pick just
the
one.
unstaffed. It is the
That's it.
unstaffed.
That's
Yep.
it. I was like, wait a minute. You don't have any employees, like none, not even one. Talk the listeners through what a completely unstaffed franchise model really means.
So that's also when we talk about the experience, that the unstaffed portion of it is part of it, because when you make a reservation online on our website, you get a series of communications, like an access code to get you in the front door and get you in your private suite. You get information on what to know before you go and how to set up your game and your time there. And it all just works so seamlessly. So, we talked about the physical space and what we've done there to be inviting, but also having a website that flows and works well and is easy to navigate. That's part of that customer experience. Getting those communications and then the technology working to get in the front door, get in your private suite. That's part of that too. And because of the technology that we are able to access today, we don't have to have someone at the front door to sign you in, or to unlock a door for you, or turn on a simulator or anything like that. It's all automated, and really from an operations standpoint, the goal is really, what are we doing to ensure that the facility is clean and welcoming for guests, and what's the marketing that we're doing to get people coming and making sure that they're having that great experience, that they're inviting friends, that they're referring people and coming back for more in the future. On a day-to-day basis, it's really not a lot. I mean, we do it ourselves. I do most of the, the cleanings on those mornings, or we just hire someone else to do it. It might be 20 to 30 minutes of, oh yeah, let's check the trash, let's wipe down a couple surfaces, a little bit of vacuuming here and there, and then we'll regularly schedule throughout the month deeper cleanings. There's a little bit of maintenance, quarterly or biannually, but it's relatively hands off on a day-to-day basis because of the technology.
I mean, what for the franchise world, that is just music to everybody's ears. The hardest part of owning any business is people, right? It's never the actual operation or the process, it's always people. And I love that you guys have mastered the tech in here and you really thought about not just the experience of the customers, but the experience of an owner. You've done that through a lot of different elements here. You talked about the tech to get in, but tech is kind of your thing. You guys are very tech forward. Ethan, I know that, I mean, the tech inside of Another Nine. Now, I don't want you to give it away, right? Like this podcast is meant to be for everybody to come and check us out. Let's don't show them everything. But talk about some of like this is proprietary technology for franchisees. Can you give us just a couple like sneak snippets of what they can expect to hear about?
Absolutely. I think so. We call our proprietary tech is called A9OS. So everything that Brett mentioned on the physical experience is really enabled by this technology that we've developed that makes this business so turnkey for us. And this was all born out of a problem that we had. We were working other full-time jobs when we opened our first location. And so we designed this experience to be one that we could operate successfully without leaving those roles. And when we thought about what that could mean for a franchisee, we've spoken with dozens of like-minded entrepreneurs across the country over the last several months. And the common theme has been, regardless of field, right? It's nurses and lawyers and firefighters and investors and executives and account managers. It really is every industry. The common theme is, I've always wanted to start something. I have a little bit of cash on the side. I have some time that I can invest every week, but I don't really want to start something from scratch. I don't want to have to manage a team. I don't think I can do it. And we're here to tell you that that's just not true. You can do it. Because we did it. We did it ourselves. And that is, when we set out to build this technology, we were solving a problem that we actually had. And so A9OS is a one-stop shop that allows you to digitally and remotely manage a physical Another Nine location. Everything from reservation management and membership management to access management, security, monitoring, remotely locking and unlocking doors, scheduling, cleaning, checking on cameras in the facility, remote desktop into everything that you would want to do exists in this facility that makes it so turnkey. And then one other thing that I think is really important is you talk about, okay, we've talked about this before. I don't like the word absentee. I think it implies a lack of engagement and ownership. And I don't think our franchisees feel that way. I think they want to feel like an owner and they're empowered to run this business. Semi-passive is certainly a much better way to describe it. But one of the big parts of a semi-passive business is, especially one that's open 24/7, how are you handling customer contacts or, I call it guest services when something may happen to go wrong? And that's another thing we take a great deal of pride in is our responsiveness and the fact that we handle 24/7 customer support for our franchisees. So it's not as if you are going to be reading a book to your kids and get pulled away at, sorry, I have to restart a computer, or get woken up in the middle of the night. Hey, I forgot my access code. What is it again? And we handle that for you. So it is really just like we were very thoughtful and intentional about the physical space. The technology that we've built is also very thoughtful and intentional to make sure that it is a seamless end-to-end experience from the digital to the physical.
You said something once, I think it was that this is in our conversation about semi-passive and absentee franchisees, et cetera. And you were like, I need my franchisees to have something else to do. If all they're focused on is Another Nine, then they're going to get bored because we've kind of covered everything for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
I loved that. I thought that was such a cool thing to hear a founder say. So in terms of tech, right? It isn't just A9OS that you guys were really careful about. Again, I dove into the golf simulator world because joke's on me. Turns out I loved it. You guys chose to use Unicore as your simulator technology, correct? Talk us
That's
through
right.
a little bit of your decision-making process there.
I think I'll say a few things, and that's kind of brand agnostic when we think about what works for the space, and that's kind of how we landed on the decision that we did. In this environment, there's no staff on site, so it needs to work. It needs to be reliable. It needs to be um, durable. It also needs to be out of the way. It can't be on the ground. You can't have people interfering with it, kicking it, hitting it with a club on accident, blocking whatever the camera happens to be. We need to allow for right and left-handed users. We don't want to be limited by the different lighting we need in the environment or lack thereof. We don't want to have something that's going to create a lot of user interface questions. This is so complicated. How do I use this? I just want it to work. And so all of those were ultimately what led us to that decision, because we went with a model that solves for all of those problems and happens to be accurate and realistic and immersive, which is so core to the golf experience that we're so focused on delivering.
That's awesome. So tell me this, like, as you started your first Another Nine location, you couldn't have started this with the idea that you were going to franchise it. Like, what was your aha moment? What was the moment that you were like, oh crap, something has happened and we need to expand. Our original plan that was cute that's not what we're going. I call it my cupcake moment. Like, oh, I'm not doing a cupcake shop. Like, my path is way bigger. It's way different. What did that look like for you guys? When did you realize this?
When we first opened, friends, family, acquaintances, other local businesses, when we talked to them about it and they'd come see the space, they say like, oh, okay, so you guys opened a franchise location. Like, no, but thank you. That means like the branding is right, the offering is there, like everything makes sense the way it should. That was probably the first little bug in our ear. And then pretty early on, Ethan, we had a lot of people reaching out like on LinkedIn and on Instagram and through our website form, the contact form on our website, asking if they can bring one to their city.
That's right. Yeah, we would have, and we were not actually, still to this date, we have spent $0 on any paid media advertising the fact that we are a franchisor and offering franchises nationally, which is an interesting note. But the very first one was a couple weeks after we'd opened the first location. We had a reel on Instagram gain a decent amount of traction. Of course, we're very targeted in our marketing, so we're not going to be trying to reach people really outside of a kind of hyper local radius around the facility. And this individual reached out from Anchorage and said, "Hey, are you guys franchising? Because I'm interested in putting one in my neighborhood." And we were like, if it's resonating, if this message is resonating out in Alaska, before we even want it to be there might be something to explore. And so it was almost born out of organic demand rather than us having a desire to be a national franchisor.
Yeah, and to add to that, we in our research of the industry and seeing what's going on, like we know this is a hot industry, but we also know that it has staying power because of the infrastructure of outdoor golf in the US and all the reasons why it's hard to get a tee time when you want it. And so even early on, especially Ethan, who's much more of a visionary than I am, we just had thoughts of like, this can be everywhere, this can go everywhere, this can be we can be the number one most prominent, best indoor golf experience in the US. That there's no reason why we shouldn't be. So we can take it everywhere. And so then it becomes, well, is it a land grab? How quickly can we get out and around the country? And instead of growing in concentric circles around our headquarters in Cincinnati, franchising was a strategic option that allowed us to expand that brand presence so much faster and work with those like-minded individuals who are like us and wanting to branch out and do something different and be entrepreneurs and have that playbook.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that, franchising isn't easy, right? So I think something I found really interesting about you guys is that when you decided to franchise, your partnership is super unique. And I could tell there was so much thought and so much research into the way you've built and designed this brand. I mean, I talk to brands all the time. That's my job is I talk to people who are franchises and maybe shouldn't have been, or are not franchises and want to be them, or just all types of individuals. And I realize in some of these moments that people have done very little research into what an actual franchise should be, what kind of support a franchisor should be providing, what is the value brought by your royalty percentage or that ad fund percentage. And I was so blown away by the level of care that you've took into building the process and operational infrastructure around Another Nine so that this is attractive to franchise. I know before we started the podcast, I was sharing with Brett, I was like, man, I have kind of made a mistake that accidentally at dinner, at a sporting event, you name it, when people are like, hey, how are things going? They always kind of plug my ear for what's coming, what's new, what's hot. And I always end up bringing up Another Nine, it's on the tail end of them finding out that I now like to play golf. Nobody ever pegged me as that, right? Every time I bring up Another Nine and I talk about you guys and this opportunity for just a few minutes, all of a sudden it's 3 or 4 days later. Hey, so what do you think about like actually showing me that model? Is that are they available in our area yet? Do you think I could buy this? And I'm at the point now that I have a lot of people in my area interested. I think our area is going to be sold out very quickly, but this is something that when people hear about it, there's not a lot of rebuttal. Like what else could they argue about? You guys have taken care of almost everything.
That was by design. Just like we thought about very intentional design of the physical space or the core problems we're trying to solve with the technology, we did the same thing with prospective franchisees. And I think one of the benefits is we have gone through that process ourselves so recently of, okay, how do I do this in addition to my day job, in addition to my life at home? How do I start a new legal entity? How do I sign a lease? How do I find a space to lease? How do I find a general contractor? How do I build up this space? How do I drive up demand for the offering? All of these things are, they can be accomplished, but it's certainly not an easy thing to do. And so for every step of that process, we designed or we thought about it as if we were a franchisee and said, this would be really difficult, or this would be an anxiety inducing experience, or this would give me a lot of heartburn enough for me to say, I don't think I'm cut out for this. And we solved each of those problems. So I'm glad that has come through and all the things we've talked about, but I think it truly is by design. And we want to make sure that just like we want to deliver the ideal indoor golf experience for our members and guests, we want to deliver the ideal indoor golf business for our franchisees.
Well, tell me this, if everybody is going to want to get a piece of Another Nine, how do you guys determine who you're looking for as franchisees? Like, what are some of those key factors? What are the indicators that you guys are looking for? Because you're going to have to start stacking people up against each other pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Ethan, add on to whatever I'm going to say, but I mean, we want people who are passionate about business and not necessarily golf. People who are coachable, who, they're sponges, they're going to soak up this information. I think it's a great advantage to have people who are hungry for something different in life. At least that's where we were. Certainly we wanted to take on a challenge. We want people that have a healthy respect for how much of an undertaking it is, but who get excited about that sort of adventure and don't just want to, sit back and relax and do the same thing that they've always done. You're not going to have something different if you're not willing to do something different. And I think we're looking for those people who want to do something different, really who share the same sort of values that we do. Ethan said it before, you don't have to come from golf. You don't have to have a golf background. And frankly, I think that's been an advantage for us to not have the golf background, to have not grown up in the country club, because we see things with a different lens and we're helping gain access for people who didn't have it before. I think that those are some of the things that I think really stand out to me in terms of who we're looking for. Like, do they really believe in the vision and the mission that we have, and are willing to undertake that adventure?
I agree with everything Brett just said. I think what I would add to that is, for me, the things that I'm looking for when I'm talking with a candidate are, is this person going to be a good steward of the brand? Is this
Mhm.
going to be a good representation for what Another Nine stands for? And can they create that local flavor associated with their location and their neighborhood? And then, in addition to being a good steward of the brand, I'm really looking for people that are willing to follow the playbook, but also willing to figure it out and do what it takes for their business to be successful. Of course, we are going to provide mountains of support for our franchisees. We also want people who are willing to suggest new things and grow the brand alongside us. And so I tell people every time I meet with them that we have a very well documented playbook. Here's your grand opening plan. Here's exactly what you need to do. But also, if you have some ideas, we want to hear it, because not only will we benefit from that, but future franchisees will also benefit from that learning. So we're very open to that. It's a two-way door, I would say. And so those are the two additional things I'm looking for.
Well, tell me this. You mentioned support. So how are you at Another Nine? I mean, funniest part of your brand is marketing is an interesting beast inside your brand, right? It's kind of like, I don't want to use the word cult, but it's kind of like is a weird cult that like once you know about it, like it's ingrained in you, right? So how do you help franchisees interact with their community? How do you help them get the first few folks through their door? How are you helping franchisees attack their individual communities from a marketing perspective?
I think every neighborhood looks different, right? However, there are some commonalities that are going to exist no matter what. One of the key themes is being telling a good story throughout the process. Not just, hey, we're open, come on in. Show people pictures and videos of behind the scenes as you're building out your space. Try to engage with the local community. Go to a farmer's market wearing a shirt with a URL on the back, which is exactly what we did, by the way.
Yep.
And it's not just
Have
this.
like a QR code like posted on your back.
And the QR code, giant QR code on the back of the shirt.
Love
Yes,
it.
which link to a sign up form so that you can get updates on the build out progress.
And that worked.
It did. Yeah. When we started, before we had even explored physical space, we kind of started this playbook for ourselves. We built a landing page that had generated like a very crude original brand with 5 bullets of what this experience was going to be and a sign up form. We spent $50 on meta ads to see if anybody would sign up in our community. And after the first, I don't know, 20 or 30 people signed up that week, I'm like, okay, there's something here. This is enough for us to go off of. And we jumped from that to sign a lease, which might be a bit of a leap. Yeah. But I think, from a marketing standpoint, it's all about storytelling and not just the kind of marketing or promotion, type of content. It's designed to be more casual, more approachable, more engaging and fun. But it's also about being a part of the local community. So your neighboring businesses with a model like ours are going to be happy that you're going in next to them, because you're not competing with them for day parts or traffic. You're not taking up a crazy amount of the parking lot for your space. You are bringing in, you're creating more reasons for that area to be a destination. And so it would be a huge missed opportunity if you're not partnering with all these businesses to do things together that are going to benefit both of you. And then, of course, you lean on all of the traditional tactics in search and social media marketing, and then even those kind of more even more traditional methods like print and radio and all that kind of stuff. So it's a full package, but
yeah,
a lot of it has to do with the fact that you're a part of the fabric of your local community, and you can behave as such when you're out in the community.
and even inside of those like more traditional tactics, I mean, we still agonized over every word and what imagery do we use, and how does this present, and does it come across to people the right way? Maybe it's a little bit of the P&G influence of Cincinnati in us, but we're like, you know what? People aren't buying like just a feature. You can't just say what's here and people come. Like we have to give them a reason to believe. We have to give them the why. Why is their life better after coming here? What are they going to enjoy about it? People are they're going to buy the benefits, and there's so many benefits of coming here. At some point, it was almost difficult in some of I'm thinking back to one of the flyers that we did. Like it was difficult to distill it down to
Too
a
many words.
few main points. Yeah, because there's just like, one, we're just so passionate about this, but there's so many reasons why someone will have fun and why they should come here. It's tough to just narrow it down to a few. It's a good problem to have.
It's my favorite to watch founders or any business owner. Like once a person has decided to buy into a business, it's my favorite when you get to watch that switch flip. And they are exactly what you said. They're so passionate that they could talk for days about all the benefits or all the positive character traits that there would be going into their business. Like it's so fun to get to watch it. It's going to be fun for you guys to watch your franchisees do that flip too, where they started with, no, I have questions about this. And they kind of are playing devil's advocate at first, then to them just being die hard, bleeding another 9 green, right? Like you're going to absolutely love getting to see that.
I think Ethan still, every time we get a Google review, sends it to like our family group, and like every time we're so jacked, like probably more excited than we should be, but it's such a great like positive feedback and validating for what we're doing. And especially early on, those first few, it was like, man, that's better than caffeine. That'll get you going.
He's not lying. I just did that yesterday.
I love that so much. So I really want to get into numbers and talk more about what they're going to see inside of the FDD, but we're not going to get there because I want this podcast to live on for forever. One of these days, we're going to get to look back and see how cute and young you guys were when you got 450 franchisees across the country. And I don't want to mess that up with numbers. So instead, I want to jump and I want to talk about what that next 5 years looks like for you guys. Where do you want another 9 to be? Is it just another 9? Do you have big aspirations for other brands? Are you guys wanting to stick around? This technology is so impressive, Ethan. Like, tell me, what do you guys see 5 years out from now? Where does the franchise land in 5 years? What do we look like?
When we had our very first grand opening at our first location in Cincinnati, right before we cut the ribbon, I said, this is going to be something really big. For now, let's celebrate this win. We'll cut this ribbon and we'll celebrate. And, there's big things to come. And we kind of carry that mentality into everything that we do. Every day, it's like, this is going to be something really big. We're proud of what we've built thus far. It is a fraction of what we're about to go do. And so, I think that there is no real limit to, I think, the aspirations that we have for this brand. We talked about being the largest 24/7 indoor golf brand in the US. I have no doubt that will come true. Personally, I feel it's a bit limiting. I don't know why we would limit ourselves to just the US, for example. I think the way that we think about this space is, probably perhaps a bit more frustrating, I think, for Brett, because I often will bring him new ideas like, hey, I know this is really great. However, what if we did this? And so, but it's true, right? The technology is evolving at a rate that it's kind of difficult to grasp. And so I think if you create a static experience, it might work for the short term, but it's not going to work in the long run. And so we're constantly evaluating what's to come and positioning ourselves to be ready to embrace that new technology or that new experience when we get to that point. So what another 9 is today will probably ring true from a core experience and value standpoint 5 years from now, but I guarantee there will be a lot more wrapped into that experience. And 5 years from now, people all over the country and perhaps internationally will be able to have that experience themselves.
I love that. So from each of you, if you could tell your future franchisees one thing before they join another 9, what would you want them to know?
I think I would say 2 things. First off, express gratitude for your interest in what it is that we're building here at Another Nine, because it truly is different. And obviously we care and we're very passionate about what it is that we're building, but I feel extremely grateful every time I get to talk to somebody that's interested in being an owner of this business. And so I think that is a testament to what we've built and what we're going to go build, but I'm grateful for that. The other thing I would tell them is, we want you to build something with us that you are proud of, that you have staked your claim in your community, that you have become, if you're not already, a business owner. You are an entrepreneur. You can do this, and you can create the future for yourself and your family using a business like this. So that's what I would say. I'm extremely grateful for the interest, and we want people to feel pride in being a part of this and bringing it to their neighborhood.
My initial thought goes to the brand name, which we didn't even talk about. This was Ethan's idea, but I think almost any golfer can share this. Like, golf is such a frustrating game to play. It's not baseball. No one's pitching it 100 miles an hour. You're like, the ball is just sitting there, and it's so hard to hit it where you want to. And for so many people, it's a great escape. It's their happy place. And we've talked ad nauseum about, all the reasons why it's hard to get a tee time and all the problems with golf. But the feeling, like, when you just hear a shot and you want to play more, like, we want people to feel that when they come here. This is where I get emotional. We want people to leave saying, like, I want to play another nine, like on a golf course, last hole. It's such a great feeling. Like, I want to play more of this. I want people leaving our facilities feeling that. And to you, the franchisee, you have such a unique experience, or such a unique opportunity to give that to people in your community. There's people that they've never played golf yet, and they're going to have that at your facility. There are people that gave up on the game of golf to be good fathers, and they're able to come back. I'm crying. They're going to be able to have that again at Another Nine. That's what fuels me. And that's what franchisees are going to be able to do for the people in their community.
Well, I don't need to sell this anymore. If you're good with it, I'll just package that up and put it on Facebook. I think that's I think that's such a great point. We went to the driving range yesterday, and my husband wanted to work on putting and chipping, because it turns out, like, he's an incredible golfer, but he can't putt for shit. So he's really wanting to work on his putting, and I've never done that at the driving range. I don't know if you've ever tried to take your kid to the driving range. It's not fun. Okay, I don't know how old your kid was when you did that, but mine's 3, and it's not fun. It's a poor decision and a poor choice, because I'm worried about him running into somebody else's club. I'm worried about him. Supposedly there's this whole etiquette thing with golf that nobody informed me of, and yelling "trash truck" is not appropriate in the middle of the
in someone's backswing.
Yeah. So as we're walking up to this putting range, I see this guy, and as he walks over, I thought to myself, he is so in the zone. He seems so happy to be there, right? He's smiling at everybody he sees as he walked over, and goes and sets up in the corner where he can chip it over to the hole. And I thought to myself, dude, you're not married. You don't have kids. Like, that was actually a thought that ran through my head, is the only reason you're enjoying this so much is because you have no other responsibilities. And it made me sad, because I was thinking, like, my husband doesn't have this. He's actively bringing his wife and his son to the driving range with him just to get a chance to play this game that he loves. Right. And as much as we love to spend that time with him, and I think that part's super special too, it's something, we've been married for 10 years. I literally told him when he wanted to put a simulator up, I was like, since when do you like golf? And he was like, I used to play golf all the time. And he pulled out these trophies that he won with his grandfather. And he was like, golf was a huge part of my life when I was younger. It's just didn't fit in anymore. And it's because of the nature of the game of golf. It's not a quick thing you get to fit in either. It's not like you can't just go, the psycho people who like cycle for fun. I don't know what's wrong with it. But people that can just like jump on a bike and they can go and do their hobby for a little bit, that's not what golf is. You have to dedicate a lot of time and you have to have energy available to get to practice this sport. And I didn't realize that that had been something that he didn't do anymore. And there's so many reasons as to why that is the case. And I mean, my husband, you guys know that we have interest in owning one of these ourselves. We're already franchisees, and my husband swore after being a franchisee one time, he's like, I don't know if I could ever do it again. And he saw another 9 and he's like, I could do this. This I could do.
Yeah.
Right. And that one of the big things he said is he was like, I love the idea that I could take my wife and my kid. It's a private room. I'm not bothering anybody else. We could bring a pizza and we could hit together as a family, or if it's just me, I can go and this can be a place that I can enjoy a hobby that I love to do wherever I'm at in life, right? Whether it's because I had a super early meeting, whether it's because I want to spend time with my family, whatever the case may be. So I know you did get super emotional, Brett, but I think that's an awesome reason for it. I think that that is something that is so missed inside of the purpose here. And I absolutely love that.
Yeah. Nowadays, you don't have to sacrifice the game you love just for, a really important job, or, because you had kids or you got married or you moved away and you don't live next to your golf buddy anymore. It's just amazing that we can provide that to people. Ethan, I think I remember early on, like we talked to some older guys and they're like, oh, you have this really cool concept. And we asked, oh, do you golf? And they're like, well, I used to, back when I was in my 20s, before I got married or before I had kids. And like, I feel like we heard that over and over again. And just reflecting on like, well, I'm just now getting into it. Like, I don't want to have to give it up. I don't want that to be me when I'm 55 or 60, wishing that like, what? I wish I had spent a little bit more time. I wish I had gotten my family involved and going out and doing that with me. So now, we didn't even mention before, like I can play 18 holes on a simulator, and granted, I'm taking a lot of shots, like a lot of shots. I can play 18 holes in an hour. So, someone can work it in on their lunch break instead of saying like, you know what, like, hey, it's a Saturday. I've been working all week, but I'm also going to spend 5 hours away from my family. Like, you don't have to sacrifice that anymore. And it's not like this is supposed to take away from outdoor golf at all. Like, we can't replicate being outside on a perfect 70-degree day. Like, of course you're going to go outside and play golf. But the problem is no one gets to do it as much as they want to, especially on public courses. So this is it's such a good way to supplement this game that you love and be able to play it more. Because despite how frustrating it is, despite, how long it takes, like when you get down to it, like golfers just want to play more golf.
But you said something just now that was, okay, since I started playing golf, I cannot tell you how many females that I have mentioned I started playing golf to. And I have too much Botox right now for you to see, but their eyebrows go straight up and they're like, you did what? And I'm like, women, you mentioned getting your family involved, right? How many women do you know that if their husbands are going to play golf, there's like zero interest? Absolutely not. That was not something that women were ever invited to do. Most of the time, it's because of exactly what you mentioned earlier, Brent. It's like, I'm not going to go out to a driving range for everybody to watch me, for me to get embarrassed because I'm not good at it. Something I love that Another Nine offers is a chance for, hey, you could teach this to your wife. Like, this is something really fun you could go do as a couple, right? And it's provided an environment that she feels good to pick up this new sport, to pick up this new hobby together and really give it a shot. It gives you the opportunity to breathe new life into a hobby where it may have just been your hobby when you were single earlier. My husband and I talked about that the other day. He was like, we've been married for 10 years and we've never had the same hobby, right? I like antiquing. He likes everything else. I mean, he's been into biking. He's been into shooting. He tried to get me like to really enjoy shooting, and I liked compound bows. He's like, yeah, that was not what I meant, and we could never find anything we got on the same page with. I don't fancy myself an athlete at all. I told him there was absolutely no way that I was going to be able to hit that ball with the stick. And when I got up there and swung, I was like, wait a minute, this is actually fun. And I guess I've never put that together. I love that brings new life to what could have just been a hobby for you. Now you have a chance to actually introduce it to more people. You can introduce it to your daughters. You can introduce it to your sons, right? Without feeling like you're taking all this time away from the rest of your family. And that's such a cool gift to be able to give back to the community and families inside of it.
Yeah, and nationwide, people are catching on. One stat that we didn't share earlier is that last year in 2024, for the first time, off-course golf participation outpaced on-course golf participation. That means more people played on a simulator or putt-putt or
Driving
one of those,
range
like
or
driving range places or anything like that. More people did non-traditional golf than golf on a course last year. And that's going to continue as there are fewer courses and participation increases. This is what the future of golf looks like. It's not just one thing. And we're here to redefine what that experience can be and who that can be for and how they do that.
You know, I think that it would be an interesting poll. It's something we should figure out how to do inside of Another Nine. My dad came over a couple of nights ago and I was telling him about me playing. And I was like, Dad, you really don't play golf at all? Like, I mean, my dad was a really high level ranking executive where he was. And he was like, I used to play. And I was like, were you just not very good at it? Like, did I inherit that gene from you? And he laughed and he was like, no. He's like, as a matter of fact, the last time I played golf was a year that your mother and I were married. And I went and played with a group of guys. And this is before cell phones were cool. And they wanted to play another 9 round. He was like, I was supposed to be home at like, I don't know, 4 o'clock or something like that. I ended up getting home at like 8 instead. And he said, I walked in and your mom was fit to be tied. He was like, after that, I decided that it impeded so much on our family time and it was not worth making her upset. And I just decided it was a hobby that I couldn't pursue anymore. And I was like, interesting. I didn't think about it the way you just thought about it. I still think you must just be bad at it. But I didn't think about like how much that can really affect your family. And that is a decision and a choice a lot of people had to make.
One of our original taglines was around no compromises, that you can still invest that quality time with your family and not sacrifice your hobbies. You can play in an elevated environment that doesn't have to come with a country club price tag. You can play at 11 o'clock at night because that's the only time you have available in your schedule, even when it's too dark or too cold or too wet or whatever. And so I think that is a really important point, that you create. Golf doesn't have to be a 6-hour activity on a Saturday where you're leaving your family back at home. You can do both. And I think that is one of the really exciting things about the experience that we've created, is that we allow people to do both.
I love that. All right, boys. So to each of you, you've got a night off and an open bay at Another Nine. Right, we know Another Nine is BYOB, so bring your own beverage. What are you bringing? And who are you playing with, right? No holes barred. Who are you inviting to play and why?
I mean, I feel like it's a cop-out if I just say I'm playing with Ethan.
It's probably true.
Yeah, cop-out.
It's probably
Not
true.
that cool.
Okay, aside from me,
my buddy Josh, he doesn't live too far away. You know, if he needs a place to crash, we've got an extra bed at home. Yeah, we'll play at least one round. We'll grab. There's this awesome pizza place by one of our facilities, probably the best pizza in town. So we're getting some pizza. They even have some, I guess, their own beer that they have. It's amazing. They have a great IPA. So we're splitting a 6-pack. We're splitting a large pizza, and we're letting it rip.
I love it. Ethan, what about you? Josh
So for
just
me-
beat out the option for like Tiger Woods, everybody. So Josh, if
listen-
you're listening, you're super cool, dude.
Tiger doesn't want to see my swing. Scotty doesn't want to see my swing. Love
I
you,
think he
Scotty.
might.
You don't want to see it.
I think
And
they might.
he's kind of got a funky swing too.
Yeah, I don't know. It could be pretty funny to have him help. Could you imagine if you could get like lessons with Tiger at another nine inside one of your bays? Would that not be like the ultimate?
We
You asked
know
what the
you're
5-year
listening.
plan is, and that's actually part of it.
That's that's the moment that you know you've made it.
We know you're listening, Tiger. Yes, we are available for lessons. Just reach out. I will also stay in the realm of what's realistic of people that want to golf with me. We play with our brother-in-law and our father-in-law as well, which I think that's always a good time. If we keep it outside of, if Brett's not invited, then I'm probably playing with my brothers who now, after a couple of them have lived across the country, we're all back in the same place, or same situation with some friends that I've been friends with for a long time. As for what's in the glass, probably a local craft beer. I think love bourbon, but it's maybe a bit too aggressive for the type of night that we're trying to have. And then on the screen, probably the ocean course at Kiowa, because I
Ooh.
love to run up a high score.
That's like my local. I mean, I'm in South Carolina. I've been a few times, clearly not to play golf, but I have set out by that pool right there. So it's a beautiful course.
It really is. Also
That's,
have not played it, but it's on the list.
that
The
was an
list is long.
yeah, that's an easy one to check, though, I would think.
I've had many meals sitting right at the clubhouse watching people finish up on 18, but I have never played it myself.
I love it. Well, for me, I guess it would be Bryson DeChambeau because he's freaking hilarious. And oh, I could tell my husband all the funny things he says.
Bryson, we know you're listening. You are also invited.
Obviously, you and Tiger, come on. We'd be happy to entertain you. My husband would say Tiger all day long. And tequila. Tequila's in my glass for sure. And it wouldn't matter what course I played because I haven't elevated past the point of a driving range yet. So I would just piss everybody off in general, no matter what course we are on.
It's an adventure.
It would be. It'd be.
You know what? Mulligans are free. You can skip to the next hole if you want to. There's no rules. All that the
We're
old
gonna play
rules that you have to
best
follow
ball.
on the
That would
course.
be yeah, we'll just
Yeah,
play best ball.
just
It'll
scramble.
never be my ball, but it'll be fun either way.
I mean, it sounds like you can putt for your husband.
Right.
You might do better than him there.
We would be
See?
a really good team. I don't know if there's a game where you can do that, where he can do all the big hits and I can putt. Is there one of the games we should
Sure.
Perfect.
love it. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. For all of you listeners, if you're interested in learning more about Another Nine, log on to the Brand One website. Make sure you click the link on brands and scroll down to Another Nine. We would love to showcase the brand for you, help you become part of the Another Nine movement. Brett, Ethan, thank you guys so much for joining us. I cannot wait to see where this brand goes. And I have a feeling that if we check back in here for another podcast in the next year, you guys are going to have some really fun stories to tell. Hopefully it's with Tiger and Bryson, but we'll see.
That'd be great. Thank you so
Awesome.
much for having us. We're
Thanks.
excited to
Yeah,
be
we
here.
really appreciate it.